Anthropic built a lab.
Not a data center, an actual research lab. Biology, drug discovery, experiments.
Except there are no researchers in it.
Just the model.
The part that keeps pulling at me is the rare disease piece. Anthropic isn't licensing this out and waiting to see what happens. They're going to run their own research program on diseases that don't have funding because the patient populations are too small to be profitable.
Which is a pharmaceutical economics problem more than a science problem. The knowledge exists, the tools exist, but nobody builds the trial because there aren't enough patients to justify the cost.
That's exactly the gap Claude Science is aimed at. You don't need a massive commercial return if your cost structure is different from a drug company's.
Although that's the optimistic read. The other read is that drug discovery is extraordinarily hard, and AI labs have announced science tools before that quietly disappeared a year later.
DeepMind's AlphaFold changed how biologists think about protein structure. That was real. But predicting how a protein folds is a defined problem with a clear answer. Drug discovery is messier. You're navigating biological systems that interact in ways nobody fully understands.
And the failure modes are expensive. A bad prediction in protein folding is a wrong answer. A bad prediction in drug development is a failed trial that cost hundreds of millions of dollars and years of time.
So the question isn't whether Claude Science can do science. It probably can do parts of it well. The question is whether it knows which parts it's bad at.
That's the calibration problem. A researcher who's wrong knows they're wrong and adjusts. A model that's wrong can be very confident about it.
Anthropic has built its whole research agenda around that exact problem. Models knowing the limits of what they know.
And they're not positioning this as replacing scientists. Paying subscribers get access to a tool that assists research, drug discovery, biology experiments. The in-house rare disease work is separate.
That distinction matters. A tool that makes a good scientist faster is different from an autonomous research program. Both are real, but they're different claims with different risks.
And Anthropic is making both claims simultaneously, which is either very confident or very carefully worded.
The rare disease angle is the one I'd watch, not because it's the biggest application, it isn't, because it's the one where Anthropic bears the cost of being wrong themselves, instead of handing that to someone else.
The stablecoin wars just got complicated too.
Circle runs USDC, a stablecoin, meaning a digital token whose value is pegged 1-for-1 to the US dollar, so it doesn't swing in price the way Bitcoin does. It lives on a blockchain, so you can move it anywhere instantly without going through a bank. Circle makes money by holding the real dollars backing USDC and collecting interest on them.
And then Visa, Stripe, BlackRock, and Coinbase, along with about 140 other companies, got together and said, what if we just did that ourselves? They launched something called OpenUSD, a shared digital dollar run by an independent operator called Open Standard. The idea is a stablecoin that no single company controls, and instead of the interest going to Circle, it gets distributed among the companies actually using and supporting the network.
So Circle built the on-ramp, and now the on-ramp has competition from the people who were paying the toll.
Circle stock drops 16% in a single day on the news. Circle sits in the middle. It issues the coin, it holds the dollars, it collects the yield, meaning the interest those held dollars earn while they sit in the account. Remove the middleman and there's no Circle.
Look at the names involved. BlackRock manages $11.6 trillion in assets. Visa processes $13 trillion in payments every year. These aren't startups, they're the infrastructure.
And they looked at how digital dollars work and decided they'd rather own the rails than ride them. It's happened before in finance. Payment networks and clearinghouses, the institutions that settle transactions between banks, eventually get rebuilt by the biggest players, who cut out whoever was charging them to use it.
The question is whether a stablecoin that 140 companies own together can move faster than one company with a clear incentive to defend its position.
Ask any major AI chatbot to pick a random number between 1 and 10.
7.
Every time. These models are trained on human text, and humans writing about random numbers pick 7 more than any other digit. The model learned that pattern so thoroughly that asking it to be random just produces the most popular answer to the concept of randomness.
Which is a strange thing to sit with. You're asking for surprise, and it gives you the average.
An Australian startup called Springboards decided that was worth attacking directly. They built a model specifically designed to generate genuinely unpredictable outputs, not random in a broken way, but calibrated to behave differently across calls.
And the target isn't replacing your regular AI. It's for tasks where the whole point is that you didn't already know what you were going to get. Brainstorming, trip planning, coming up with ideas you wouldn't have come up with yourself.
Which is where current models quietly fall apart. They feel creative because the writing is fluent, but fluent and surprising are not the same thing. If you ask GPT-4 to suggest 10 unusual restaurants in a city, you get the 10 that appear most often in reviews. Popularity dressed up as discovery.
Springboards is betting that people will eventually notice that the experience of using AI for creative work keeps feeling like déjà vu, and at some point you realize you're asking a very articulate averaging machine to surprise you.
The weird part is you'd probably never catch it. You just feel like your ideas were getting smaller.
And the question nobody's tested yet is whether knowing about the problem changes how you use the tool, or whether the tool just adjusts and the average moves.
A security researcher used Claude, Anthropic's AI, to break into a ticketing platform, not steal data, issue tickets, valid VIP passes to Lollapalooza, South by Southwest, basically every major US music festival, worth up to $4,000 each.
He gave himself unlimited access.
And then reported it instead of using it, which is the only reason we know. He said Claude cut the time it would have taken him alone from days down to hours. The AI just kept finding the next crack in the system.
He's a researcher who reported it. Somebody else might not. The James Webb Space Telescope has been studying a planet that should not exist. A Jupiter-sized planet, meaning a gas giant roughly as large as our solar system's biggest, orbiting a dead star every 34 hours from less than 2 million miles away.
Less than 2 million miles is nothing. Mercury is 36 million miles from the sun, and we consider that close.
The star it orbits used to be like our sun. Then it swelled into a red giant, a phase stars enter near the end of their lives when they expand enormously and shed its outer layers. That planet survived all of it.
Webb just figured out how it got that close after the star died.
Our sun does the same thing eventually, swells, sheds its layers, dies. This is what that looks like from the other side.
A preview several billion years early. 72-ton robots are driving steel beams into swamp ground in Louisiana, 12 hours a day, autonomously.
Building the solar farm that powers Meta's new AI data center. The machines are retrofitted with software from a startup called Built Robotics. They navigate the terrain, position the beams, drive them in, move to the next one.
No crew that size could work those hours in those conditions, and Meta needs power at a scale that makes conventional construction timelines a real problem.
AI infrastructure runs on electricity, enormous amounts of it, and someone has to build the thing that makes the electricity first.
Turns out that someone is also a robot. That's half the year done.
6 months in, and it keeps getting stranger, not more familiar. Robots building solar farms, AI finding its own security holes before anyone else does.
You'd think by now none of it would surprise us.
It still does. This is the Pulse Brief for Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. Singularity Pulse is for informational purposes only. Nothing here is financial, legal, or professional advice. Views expressed are our own.
I'm Knox. Every Saturday on Pulse Deep Dive, one story told in acts. This season, how AI happened, who really invented the internet, and going back to the moon 53 years later. New chapter every Saturday. Find it wherever you listen.
Origins is a different kind of show. Every Sunday, we investigate the forces that shape the modern world. The geography, the science, the commerce, the decisions made centuries ago that are still playing out today. Find it wherever you listen to this podcast.